the book of Shmuel I, chapter 27, verse 7. And we are in the midst of a supremely weird situation. It's something that is very hard to understand, very hard to comprehend. David HaMelech, the whole feud between him and between David and Shaul was to begin with something very strange and not understandable. And he's a son-in-law. He saved the Jewish people. Shaul's supposed to be a great king, which he is, a great leader of the Jewish people, which he is, and so is considered till this very day. But something went into him. He didn't do something right, and he became a little bit unstable, Shaul, and as a result, he was acting. I don't have any. It's really bad practice to talk like that, but not in a understandable way. Weird, a little bit fashion. And it came to a point where David kept running away. Shaul kept chasing him. Couple of times he came to his senses and realized that David is not really have no ill will in his heart against Shaul. So Shaul he repented and asked forgiveness, and yes, I won't do it again. But of course he fell into his old ways and continued to chase him shortly thereafter, to a point where David got twice within arm's length of Shaul, showed him that he's not killing him, he's not doing anything against him, but he got to a point where he absolutely cannot stay any longer around Shaul, and he ended up running away from the land of Israel. So our David HaMelech ran away from the land of Israel, and he ran away not too far away land. He went away to next door, which is the area of the Philistines, which practically and by the promise of the Torah belongs to the Jewish people. So it's really a part of the land of Israel, but that's technically, but practically it was not ours, because 400 years earlier, when we came out of Egypt, we came into the land of Israel. We spent 7 years conquering the land. We sort of ran out of steam and didn't conquer the places where was full of fierce fighters. To begin with, Yeshua actually did not even try to kick the Philistines away, because there was an ancient agreement between the Avraham Avinu and the Avimelech. When Avraham Avinu there was famine in the land of Israel, he had to run away. He found rescue with the Philistines, and then the king of the Philistines, Avimelech, struck a deal with him to not destroy him, to not hurt him, for at least 4 generations. So that you still had the elders of that generations alive. So when Yeshua was conquering the land, he was not able to kick the Philistines out, because of that covenant with that Avraham struck with Avimelech. So this is the second time that David is running to that place, to Achish. Achish is the king of the Philistines, of that area. And the first time he ran there alone. He ran away there to there alone, right after the first time that Shaul started chasing him. And he was there for less than a day. He had to escape because the Philistines did not really receive him with open arms. and he was afraid that they're going to kill him. They wanted to kill him because, to retaliate for the death of Goliath, who was from the Philistines, right? So he ran away from there as well. Now he's going back there, but he's going back with a militia. He's going back with 600 people, and he gives Achish, the king of the Philistines, the impression that he is on his side. The Philistines, because they lived in the land of Israel all these years, for 400 years, side by side with us, and we were never really fighting against them in any serious way from the time of Yoshua, they felt that they are the lords of the land, and they were harassing us in many, many different ways. And they were enslaving us, and they were demanding tax and protection and all kinds of harassments. And nobody was able to really fight against them. Shimshon started and really had made a big damage to them, and showed us the Jews that we can fight them, that we are able to get rid of them if we just come together. So he's the first one that really dared to fight against them. Later on, there were four other wars that the first one we didn't do so well, and we lost the ark, and then the next three we did do well. Goliath died, and we got back the ark in between. So we sort of got them off of us. Their oppressive way of managing us and dealing with us, we got that off of us. And they saw that we won with miracles. It wasn't an easy. It wasn't a regular, equal fight. They saw that there were some godly forces that were with us, and they were afraid. And we will see later on that now they're trying to attack different areas of the land of Israel, thinking that maybe the tribes somewhere else are going to be easy picking. But anyway, at this point, David is with Achish, and that's where we meet now in chapter 27, verse 7. ויהי מספר הימים אשר ישב דוד בשדה פלישתים ימים ו4 חודשים. Translation: the number of days that David was sitting in the fields of the Philistines was days and 4 months. Very weird way of counting. So there are many all of the commentaries are talking about this calculation, because this is the pasuk, the verse that basically teaches us how long was Shaul in power. And they all are agreeing that Shaul was in power for 2.5 years. That's all. And there is a different approach how long after the death of Shmuel Shaul was died. And most of them saying that this is 4.5 months. That Yamim means days, few days, not a full month. It's few days and 4 months. Typically, in the Bible, in the holy books, when we say Yamim, we means a year. But this is only if you say 4 months and a year. If the order was reversed. Right now, the order is such that you started from the lower count and going to the higher count. So Yamim here cannot be a year, because it wouldn't fit with all of the rest of the calculation. So now there's those who say that it was 7 months after the death of Shmuel that Shaul died, which means that Shmuel died, 3 months passed, or 2.5 months passed, and then David had to run away from the land of Israel. But according to most, it was much quicker. Shmuel died during Shiva. David had to bolt out to check out, to run away, because he was afraid that Shaul is going to turn on him. Right away there was the story with Naval. Right away Shaul, at the conclusion of the Shiva of David, came to chase after David, and that it was like less than a month, like a couple of weeks. So that fits with the explanation of Rashi that it was so that right after, few days after Shmuel died, David had to run away from the land of Israel, and he was there for 4 months and a few days, and then Shaul died, which really, it's we have almost a whole book discussing this whole period of 2 years. That's all. I mean, usually the book of Shoftim, for example, is going through like 69 years worth of time. And here we have a whole book of Shmuel I, we're almost at the end of it, which is basically describing a short period of time. It also comes to tell us what was the state of mind of the Jewish people, which we'll see in a second. We're relying on Shmuel. Typically at the time of the judges, each one of the judges was, most of them, at least the famous ones, were ruling for 20 years, 40 years, for a significant amount of time. And here, Shmuel was ruling only for 10 years. And then he died, and then he sort of checked out. He went into retirement, was in retirement for 1 year and then died. And then, Shaul was really, lost after Shmuel died. Shaul was really lost in terms of what to do, and no direction, and really his mental condition deteriorated. So anyway, so David right now is in the land of the Philistines for about 4 months, and here David is one of the problems that David had is that he did not have support amongst the in Israel. Everybody was buying the propaganda of the advisors of Shaul, and felt that David is in it for himself. He was able to become very quickly, to work his way to become the son-in-law of the king, and to become the general, and he's really not there to protect the Jewish people, and he's there for his own benefit, which was obviously totally false. He didn't even want to be there. But now David is taking the opportunity, now that he's in a foreign land, which is outside of the borders of Israel. He doesn't need to run away from Shaul and be afraid that he's going to be captured and dealt with by his own people. So he decided that now is the time to start contributing to Am Yisrael in a whole different way. And he started small wars to take care of the fierce warriors in the south part of Israel that remained for hundreds of years and caused a lot of problems for many years in many, many occasions. So that was for him an opportunity now that he is there on the spot. Because when you're in the land of Israel, you're outside of the borders. In order to launch a war, to wage a war, you have to go across the border. But when you live among them, it's much easier for you, for someone who wants to deal with them, to retaliate. Now Achish obviously would not agree to any of that. So David was acting in a total. He was deceiving Achish in a very smart way, making sure that first he's not under Achish's watchful eye. He's not in the capital city, because Achish wanted him to come with me. You're a warrior. You have a militia. You saying that you coming to be with me now and to help me against the Jews, against your brothers, because you obviously everybody knows that you had a feud there. But so come be with me in the capital city. So David doesn't want to be there because he has his own agenda. He wants to start taking care of preparing the beginning of his kingdom, preparing the beginning of his David was one of the people who expanded the land of Israel in a serious way, doubled its size at the time, almost doubled its size. So it started right now. So what he did, he went out of the capital city, convinced Achish to give him some faraway town, and that's where he was. And every day, Vayal David ve'anashav vayifshetu al hakshuri ve'hagizri ve'amaleki. So every day, David would every night, every day, would go and would launch wars, small battle, small skirmishes against local tribes. And each one of those tribes earned that honor of being defeated by David. The Kshuri, for example, were people who were sitting right next to Ammon, and when Ammon was fighting against the Jews, they helped Ammon against us. So because what happens is there is a rule, there is a law that we can't just go and start wars against just people that didn't do anything bad to us. You can't just this is not halachically permissible to start wars against just someone who's friendly. That's not menschlich, So in order for us to start a war, we needed a cause. So, and David had the cause, plenty of cause, but so Shuri was one of them. Gizri, the people don't know who exactly he was, but apparently because the Shuri, we know, were people that were not friendly to us, and Amaleki, obviously Amalek was not, friendly to us. We also, the rabbis are saying that the Gizri is also someone of that nature, a tribe of that nature. But anyway, every night they would go and they would wage a war. And why did they wage a war against those people specifically? Because there were thorns. There were thorns in the sides of us and thorns in the sides of people who lived in that area. They were there for a very, very long time. And they were acting in a disgusting way, as if they're the landlords, which they weren't. There were some of them. The Amalekis are altogether nomads. They just people who would come on storming on horses, and would destroy a place, take what they needed, what they wanted, and leave. So they were not the landlords. They were just the forces of terror in the area. So after many years of being that, it came time to deal with them and to get rid of those small tribes who caused a lot of problems, and that's what David is doing now. Vehika David et haaretz. So, and they were sitting, generally speaking, on the south of Israel, all the way to the land of Egypt, all the way to Egypt. So David every day would go and he would smite them. Velo yechaye ish v'isha. This is a very interesting sentence. Velo yechaye ish v'isha. What does it mean? Velo yechaye v'isha. He didn't keep them alive. That's not what the rabbis are saying, because when you go to war, you do one of two things. You either take you take captives and you make them slaves, or you kill them. All right. To kill them, we're not allowed. There was not, the Amaleki is a special case which we were allowed to, but just other people, other tribes, it's not necessarily something that we would do. And captives, to take them as slaves, he didn't want. Because if he would take them as slaves, everything that he took, all the booty, all the whatever he captured, as we see, ולקח צאן ובקר וחמורים וגמלים ובגדים ויבוא וישב על אחיש, that he took all of the sheep and the donkeys and the camels and clothing, and he came and he brought it all to Achish, because right now he is running Achish army, part of it, as the militia of Achish. So everything that he is able to capture, he brought to Achish. He couldn't create his own kingdom. That was not the agreement. Now, what would happen if he would bring slaves? If we bring slaves, I will tell him, that we are your next door neighbors. We are the Malakis, the Geshuri, the Gizri. Why are you fighting us? We didn't fight you, Mr. Achish. What is that you're doing to us? So he couldn't take them into captivity, so he made them run. Velo yechayeh means he didn't take them alive as captives. He didn't kill them either, because if you kill them, eventually somebody finds out, because you have the bodies. What are you going to do with the bodies? So the rabbis are saying velo yechayeh, meaning he didn't take them alive. He let them all run, and the only thing that he took all of their possession. So when he shows to Achish with sheep and camels and donkeys, they can't really speak and tell them that I'm an Amalekite donkey. So the Achish would never know what's going on. And Achish would, as soon as that started happening, and it started happening day one, he was very fortunate, very happy. Here you go, finally, someone who can earn his keep, someone who can bring deliver the stuff, So he was very happy to have David run this operation. Now, what did David tell him? David told him that I'm actually fighting against my own people. I'm fighting the Jews. So Achish thought, that's even better. Not only I'm getting all of these, all of this possession, the sheep, etc. I'm getting it from the Jewish people. Amazing. How better can it be? Now, David didn't tell him where he's coming, where he's doing it. Vayomer Achish. So Achish is asking David, Al pishatetem hayom. Where did you fight today? Where is this all these goodies that you're bringing to me? Where is that? We're in verse 10. So Vayomer David. So David told him Bobemaises, basically Bobemaises. He told him Al Negev Yehuda, Al Negev Arichmeili, Al Negev Akini. He told him names that sound like Jewish names. The Negev of the Jews. The Negev of the Jews in those days, they didn't have people didn't live in the Negev of the Jews. The Negev of Yerachmieli. This is one of the families of Shevet Yehuda. Also, they didn't live in the Negev. They lived, in one of the cities. So he would create all kinds of faraways. He made up places in order to tell him that this is where I'm I'm bringing the booty from. Now, that information will also travel back to the land of Israel, making people think that David is fighting his own brothers, because they knew that suddenly Achish is becoming richer by the day, and there are some wars happening, and the word is that David is running those wars, and so he's definitely not doing anything for us. He's making Achish richer. But David was running a totally, like a different universe, a different reality. How all of that worked, it was a total miracle by God that it wasn't known exactly what really was happening. David was very smart to do it in such a way that no other person except his own militia, who were 100% loyal to him, would know what was happening. And again, the pasuk is repeating, Ve'ish ve'isha lo yechayeh David lavigat. That David did not bring live captives, men and women who can speak, Why? Lemor pen yagidu aleinu lemor. Because he was thinking they're going to cheat. They're going to snitch on him. They're going to tell the truth where they came from. That they're not from the Negev of Yehuda or the Negev of Yerich Me'eli or whatever, all kinds of hellholes that don't even not necessarily exist. So Ko asa David v'chol mishpato kol hayamim. This is what David do every single day. That Asher yashav b'seh plishtim. All of the days that he was sitting and running his operation in Plishtim. And the miracle here was that Vayamen Achish b'David lemor, that the Achish was buying it because he showed up every morning with a whole bunch of a new load of donkeys and camels and booty and all kinds of goodies. Every morning he would come up with a new load. So Achish bought it. It was very easy for him to buy the lie, to buy the nonsense. And he told himself, "Have eshivish be'amo b'Yisrael." That was a proof to Achish that David is really going against his own people, that he's not loyal anymore to the Jewish people, and vayali le'eved ulam, and now he's going to be my slave forever. This is just the way it's some they were thinking that it's easily dividable, divisive to each other, not loyal to each other, and because I guess they looked in the mirror and felt that this is what they would do, but of course it's not what happened. David would never do anything of that nature, but he caused him to believe it. So what happened is he would disseminate, he would break apart the opposition to of those other nations around, will strip them of their possessions, will strip them of their ability to conduct business, to the ability to survive, make them run away, spread them all around, and prepare the land for later on for him, once he goes back to the land of Israel and become a king, made it easier for him to come and conquer that land. Soon we'll see that it wasn't that simple. It wasn't. They ended up coming back. Those people who he stripped of their possession and they made them run because he didn't kill them. They came back and they actually retaliated against David. We will see. It was another. It will come in a couple of chapters down the road.
Wouldn't it be surprising that they don't tell Achish anything? Those people that run?
So those people who run, they were afraid. They didn't come to Achish. Yeah, the question is why didn't they say anything to Achish? So obviously somebody. So that was the miracle. The miracle was that nobody snitched, that nobody told the truth, and that Achish ate all of the nonsense that David was feeding him, and he was talking to him in a very strange and esoteric and not clear way. David, I was here, I was there, I was in that, telling him Bobemaisis. That's how the rabbis are explaining it. Anyway, at all of that time, during that 4 months, the Jewish people are totally devastated. They have a king who is moody. They're loyal to him, but he's moody. And they lost Shmuel, and so it obviously was not enough for them to just mourn Shmuel for the Shiva or even for the Shloshim. They were devastated for a long time. They felt that there is no leadership. We will see why, because Shmuel was the last of the real Nevi'im. At the time of Shmuel, we learned that the prophecy was commonplace. There were prophecy schools, where you had a lot of students, and they were able to achieve the level of prophecy under his direction, under the direction of Shmuel. And when Shmuel passed away, all of that stopped, and you had only a few prophets, few and far in between, and it was the prophecy as it was at the level of Shmuel stopped when he passed away, which was and everybody felt the degradation, the lowering of the standard, the lowering of the spiritual status of the people. And that was devastating for all of us. So the Philistines, who were just sitting there and in the past 13 years were beaten up 4 times. It's only 13 years since the first war at the time of Eli with them happened. And they were just waiting for the opportunity for us to become weak and strike back, and let's get them back as slaves. They didn't want to kill us because they also were guarding, keeping the truce that was, or the covenant that was struck by Avraham Avinu. But they felt that, we were serving them. We were there, now they lost us for 13 years. Now it's a good opportunity to get us back. We are in chapter 28. So the Philistines gathered and prepared. It wasn't a rush job. It wasn't an emergency. They actually amassed their army and prepared it to fight us. And all of their, like you see some movies that are coming out of Gaza, all of their preparations and all of their training was against us. There was no other people that they would train someone to fight, even though there were some other nations around. No, they would just train them against us specifically. And now it's time for 13 years. They were trying, and now they were quiet, they were afraid. So Vayomer Achish, and Achish is part of the Philistines, right? He's one of the kings of the Philistines. So he called David and told him, okay, so it's good, you were here for a few months, you were fighting your own brothers, that's great, but now you're going to do it, and you did it on your own, and you didn't tell me, and you just came back. Now it's time for you to do it with me, for me, under my direction. You should know, Mr. David, now you're going to come under me, you're going to do it with me, and you're going to fight the way I'm, under my direction. So David obviously doesn't want to promise him anything. So he's talking to him in a very strange and not committal way. He says, and then you will know that I will do. What I will do and what you will know, it's very, very strange way of talking, but it was by design because he didn't want to lie. He was trying to minimize his lies as much as possible, and he didn't want to promise him that he's, but Vayomer Achish of David, Lachen Shomer LeRoshi Simcha Kol Hayamim. Now Achish feels that, he's not an idiot. You don't get to be the king of the Philistines by being a stupid man, so he tells him, he also answers him in a very funny way. And then you will be, therefore you will be, because you're telling me these very important things that you are going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to know what you're going to do. So therefore you're going to be my guard. All of meaning I'll pay you. I'll send you a bonus check. But let's start with that you're going to be my guard. He knew that David is a strong man, that David has capabilities. He wanted to take advantage of it. So you're talking to me like this way, fine, no problem. But you're staying here now. And now we have one pasuk, smack here in the middle, that is setting the stage for, if you thought that whatever we learned until now about the fight of Shmuel and David, of Shaul and David, and all of trials and tribulations, that was weird. What's coming now is like weird on steroids. Super weird. And it all came about because Shmuel passed away. Shmuel met, and is repeating the state of mind of the Jewish people. That all of the Jewish people, because he was dedicated to all of us, he would go from town to town every day, all year round. He will go from town to town to teach, to judge, to spread, to direct, spread the Torah and direct us. And now that he is gone, we all were all in mourning. And typically, where is a cemetery? Where do we bury people? We bury people outside of the city, right? The cemetery is usually outside. For what reason? Because of tum'ah, right? We're not allowed to, Kohanim are not allowed to walk next to be right around a grave. And so we would, there will be, just like there are today, set areas of graves, of cemetery outside of the city. The Jewish people at the time were so upset that we lost Shmuel. They didn't bury him in a grave outside of the city. They buried him in the center of the city, Beiro, where he lived. And that's where it is now, Ramah, where we have the grave Nabi Samuel in Israel. It's in the center of town, where an ancient town. So we were trying to hold on to him as much as possible, even if it means to just bury him in a strange way. Now, just like today, when someone passes away, we are trying to do things for the Aliyat Neshama, right? For the in memory of the benefit of the Neshama, or the soul of such and such. Shaul also tried to do something like that. And he says, you know what, this is a good idea. Shmuel was helping us helping us keep the structure, the Torah, the ways that we were supposed to go after. And now he is away. So let me do something to strengthen our commitment to the ways of Torah. So what did Shaul do? He is destroying and outlawing magic. Magic, dark magic, is not allowed to be practiced under the laws of Torah. Now, what is magic is very, very particular and very, very complicated and very, very unclear. There are several kinds of magic ways that magicians are acting. Specifically, the Ovot and the Idonim are those who are Ov is someone who's talking from his underarm. Don't know how to do that. And Yidoni would put a bone in their mouth, and they would talk to the dead people, and the bone would attract the spirits. It's weird stuff. It's stuff that when Shmuel was around, because he was so amazingly and so big spiritually, there was no need to get rid of those people because it was not common. Who would go and ask a fortune teller when they can ask Shmuel? Shmuel will give him the real answer. Why go ask a fortune teller? So those people did not have parnosa, they couldn't make a living. So it wasn't a practice that was common. But now that Shmuel dies, and all of the prophecy schools were basically fell apart, and there was no one to lead the people. There was no one to ask these kind of questions. So now, okay, so let me go reading cards, reading coffee. Find those people who can tell me the fortune, can tell me the future, and those people started getting more business. Shaul, now those people were acting in secret. The whole time that Shmuel was around, they were acting in secret because, it was not allowed to be done. And it was not a practice that was widespread. You had few here and there. At the time of Shmuel, they didn't practice because they were fearful. But now that Shmuel passed away, they were popping back. And Shaul, because he didn't know exactly, it's very hard to know what is the exact definition of a magician that is not allowed according to halachot of Torah. There are many halachot, many details, and it's not a common knowledge. It's not like, how do I skin a cow, that everybody knew how to do. It's a very particular, so he didn't know exactly who is who, so he made some people as an example and create deterrents. And all of those, the rest of the people had to run away or went into hiding and stopped practicing it. So that's what Shaul contributed to the Aliyat Neshama of Shmuel. I'm going to clear the land from this Avodah Zarah type of magic, and that's it's going to be we're going to be better people as a result. The irony is that in a few psukim he needs one of these people, and he decides that he wants to ask for help from one of those fortune tellers. A crazy situation. We'll see in a second. But the point is that right now Shmuel is gone, and the Philistines gathered strength and prepared themselves for war. So the Philistines are ready to launch a war. Until now, for 13 years, 4 wars, they all fought the wars in the same area, right next to to where they were living. Kiryat Gat, Ashdod, Gaza, all of those in the south of Israel. That's where they launched all of the wars. And the wars were against the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, all of those people that are right there, that are living right there. And they failed again and again and again. So now they decided, we have an idea. We are going to go to a whole different location where there is less protection, where you have weaker tribes. Shunem is in the Galilee. It is in the parcel of land of the tribe of Issachar. The tribe of Issachar is known for what? For being rabbis, for being teachers. Not being, Yehuda was the leaders. Yehuda and Benjamin were fierce fighters. They knew how to fight a war. The Issachar, they knew how to learn. So let's find the weakest tribe. Let's go and start a war over there, and we will get there. So they went all the way from Kiryat Gat, nowadays Kiryat Gat area, Ashdod area. They went all the way to the north to Mount Tavor, to the Galil, to the lower Galilee, right? And so Shaul goes, ויקבוץ שאול את כל ישראל ויחנו בגלבוע. Mount Gilboa, not Har Tavor, I'm sorry, Mount Gilboa. So Shaul obviously needs to provide leadership and to provide a solution. So he put his camp around there. And then וירא שאול את מחנה פלישתים וירא ויחר ליבו למאוד. And Shaul gets on the mountain, and from the position over there, looks over and sees how the whole big army that is setting up shop over there to fight him, and he gets very, very, very scared to a point where he becomes paralyzed. He can't function anymore, and we will see what happens afterwards. I think that there is a minyan now in Shul, so we will stop. We will continue next week, 7:30, Thursday. Thank you, guys. Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.